the same. So let's welcome her now as well. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to get to share with you my journey towards Hungry. So it all began when I was a little kid at Missions Month, because I loved Missions Month, and I think one of the first Sundays I ever came here was the flag march, and I got to run around and carry a flag, and I was like, wow, this is so fun. They let kids do stuff at this church. It's so cool. And so from that moment on, I was like, what is this mission stuff? I want to do it. And then we had a lady from YWAM come in, and she taught us how to use wordless books in children's church, which is like a little color representation of the gospel, which was so fun. And I got to learn how to use that and then go downtown on Kids Day and share the gospel with people. And I was like, wow, I want to do this forever. This is so cool. And then I got to hear from missionaries from around the world and from this church, some of the ones Deborah just mentioned, and I always wanted to be a part of that ever since I was a little kid. And so there was a song around that time by Mercy Me that sang like Isaiah 6:8, "Here I am, Lord, send me." And I remember just being a little kid and singing that in the car and praying it, because it was truly my desire to go and to spread the love of God wherever he called me. And so as I journeyed through life, that was always something that I desired, and something that I've learned as I've been on this journey is to always remain in the Lord. And I'm going to read a Bible verse for you for that. "Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine. And you cannot be fruitless unless you remain in me." You cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. "I am the vine, and you are the branches. Those who remain in me, and I in them, will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like a useless branch and withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile and burned. But if you remain in me, and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want, and it will be granted. When you produce much fruit, you are my true disciples. This brings great glory to the Father. I have loved you, even as the Father has loved me. Remain in my love." So throughout my life, as I was trying to decide what to do for college, I tried my best to remain in the Lord and to decide my career path with his guidance. In some ways I did that, was spend time in prayer, in time in the Word, in fellowship, and in rest. And I did all of those things with people in my community and with mentors. And yeah, I think that remaining in the Lord is super important because it leads to other wonderful things. So, Anyways, when you remain in him and you are led by the Spirit, you can walk in the authority that you have been adopted into the kingdom of Christ. Romans 8:14-17 says, "For all who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. So you have not received a spirit that makes you fearful slaves, but instead you have received God's Spirit when he adopted you as his own children." And so as I was in college, I was seeking the Lord and seeking to be led by him and led by his Spirit. And there was one night during chapel, I was praying, and I'd always wanted to do missions, remember? And so I was homesick because I was in Virginia Beach, which was a while away from here. And I was just praying, and I think they were singing "So Will I," which is kind of funny because we're going to sing that later. And so I was praying, and the Lord was like, you know how you're homesick right now? It's preparing you for what you've been asking me to call you to for a long time. And I was like, oh, okay, that's scary, but it is what I've been asking for, so I'll trust you. And so I just kind of held that, kept it as a promise that he had a plan for me, even if I couldn't see it, even if, the world was going to shut down and I was going to be sent home from college and all of that. So that was good to cling to through the COVID time of not knowing what was going to happen. So fast forward a little bit more, and I applied for a bunch of jobs around here as a teacher. and didn't get any. And thankfully, Rachel stepped down from her preschool job, and I got to step in here at Covenant and be the preschool teacher for not the last 3 years, for 3 years. And that was so fun. I didn't think I would love preschool as much as I did, but I did, and it was amazing. And then while I was doing that job, our church finally got the opportunity to go to camp in Hungary. And I was so excited to get back into missions after COVID. I had been active, doing domestic missions through college and some in high school, and I just knew that, like I said, it was something I wanted to do. So when the opportunity arose, I was super excited to go and to be able to use my teaching abilities to help teach English there. So I prepared and went, and it was super duper fun. But when I got in the car from the airport, Shannon Depew was like, "Haylee, do you want to come teach preschool here?" And I was like, I just got a job as a 4th grade teacher, and I'm so excited to do that, and I want to do that for a while, so no. And so then I went to camp, and I just saw how when you're open and you're honest and you're truly yourself, people love you no matter what. They love you for who you are, and the Lord loves people for who they are. And it was just a wonderful time of just being totally honest and then seeing the fruit of that, and how when I was honest, the kids were honest, and then we were able to pray with each other. And it was just beautiful, and the Lord was working in my heart. And so then we went back to the Depew's house after camp to debrief, and they fed us a delicious dinner. And then Aaron was like, "Oh, do you guys want to go see the lights turn on in the city?" And we're like, "Yeah, whatever, that sounds fun." And so most of us loaded up in the car with Pastor Dave in the trunk, and we went up to the top of the hill, and we watched the lights come on. And Aaron said that it was safe, so I went off into the woods by myself to do a little bit of prayer time. And I was just talking to God. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to leave. I don't want, I just got a new job. Why would I have to leave that? That's so silly. This has to be wrong. And so then I went and joined everybody and watched the sunset. And as I was just staring out at the city, I was reminded of Proverbs, where it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight." So sometimes the Lord speaks audibly, and sometimes he reminds you of a Bible verse. Sometimes he speaks through a mentor or a worship song or a book. And at this time, he was just reminding me that he had a plan, and I needed to trust in that and obey that and not worry about what my plan was. So, so that just leads me to encourage you that as you remain in the Lord, you can listen to him and listen to what he has to say, and then obey, which is the tricky part. It's the scary part. It's the not fun part, because it requires action, and action can be tricky. The actions I had to take was quit my job and start fundraising and talk at a bunch of churches where I don't know anybody. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to quit my job. I didn't want to disappoint the kids that had told me they were so excited to have me as a teacher, or the parents, or my staff members that were amazing. But I knew that I had to be obedient, and I didn't want to walk away from that, because I knew the Lord was offering me something that I had to, follow. So I just want to encourage you that even if you're facing a situation of obedience that's frightening or scary or just uncomfortable, whether it's having a conversation with a friend that's not a comfortable conversation, or getting up early and coming and helping Joy, or, staying late to clean up after something, whatever it is, be obedient, because the Lord blesses obedience. So as I was on this journey, I was reading in Isaiah, and the Israelites were being disobedient, as they tend to do, and as we tend to do. And I saw this verse, or read this verse, and it says, "If only you will obey me, you will have plenty to eat. But if you turn away and refuse to listen, you will be devoured by the sword of your enemies. I, the Lord, have spoken." It's kind of a grim verse, but it shows how powerful the Lord is, and how when you walk in obedience, you will be blessed, and the Lord will provide for everything you need. It might not be immediate. You might not know where your next loan bill payment will come from, but it will come. So I've seen that as I've been on this journey. There's a fundraising deadline in August that I needed to meet to be able to go to a training that I have to go to be able to leave in May to teach at the preschool. And I didn't meet that goal. And I was like, God, if you're calling me to do this, like, why did this not happen? Why am I not going to the training? And so I was a little sad for a while, but I kept fundraising and doing all the things I was supposed to be doing. And then in September, Shannon and I had a meeting, and she said, Haylee, I got you into the training. You just have to hurry up and do all the stuff you were supposed to be doing for 6 weeks that you couldn't do, and then do it, and you can go. And I was like, okay, that's great. And so that's just one way that I've seen the Lord's faithfulness already, is getting into that training, and I leave next Sunday for it, so please be praying for me for that, because that'll be fun, and, Anyways, so I know He'll provide and continue to be there with me as I walk through this journey and as I get to 100% funded. So what I'll be doing in Hungary is I'll be working at the preschool that the Depews have been working on getting up and going. Budapest currently doesn't have any Christian preschools, but preschool is mandatory, so they all have to go to preschool, and there's no Christian options. And because there'll be native English speakers there, that'll be a big draw for people to come to the school, whether they're Christians or not. And I'm just excited to be a part of that and to teach little kids again, and it's just so fun. Some of the really wonderful things that I saw in my time at Covenant was just the faith of the kids. This is a bit of a funny story, but there was one time where I'd been teaching them about the power of God and Jesus and that He's a healer, and they were playing on the playground, and they had a little bug, and then one of them squished the little bug, and it was curled up in the little bug dead way that they do, and then one of the kids was like, wait a second, Jesus will heal this bug. We're going to pray over this bug. And so they gathered around, and they prayed over the bug, and then when they said amen, the bug flew away, and I was just like, I was so surprised, and then I immediately was like, sorry, God, that I'm surprised by that. Like, of course, the faith like a child, and they prayed over a bug, and it happened. So anyways, that was just one encouraging thing, that even little faith, like for praying over a bug, is important, and it shows that even though it might not be as obvious what's happening in the hearts of little kids, there's things that are happening. And so it's just exciting to me. And I'm excited to do that and teach there and get to see more crazy things like that happen. So this year, I got to go back to camp, which you guys heard about, and it was so fun. And just to be with the team and see the love that they have for each other and the love that they have for the kids was really special, and just made me just confirmed that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm excited to be there. And I'll also be able to work with the kids from camp at English clubs, which is more of a weekly basis thing, and I'm just excited to do that and continue with the relationships that I've already started with them. So anyways, unfortunately, I can't do this alone because I need partners in prayer and partners with monthly support to help me get there and to also make an impact in Hungary. Even though I'm working as a preschool teacher, I still have to fully raise my support. So if you're interested in that, you can talk to me after church. But I just want to encourage you that no matter what you're going through or what the Lord has before you, think of how you can remain in Him and listen and be obedient, even when it's scary, even when it's not what you want. But be obedient, and He will provide for you. So now we're going to have communion and some songs. Thank you, guys.